is our internet connection is not. So
Oh, yeah.
our folks at well, it used to be Time Warner, and they've kind of downgraded that to Spectrum. They haven't felt the need to put any kind of battery backup in, so we're kind of sitting here, even though, you know, I can run. And I know this is a good spot for somebody to say, well, that's what WinLink is all about. You're absolutely right. It is. And I am working on getting the station to operate with WinLink. I'm working on that now. I do have to tear the station apart, rebuild it so that it's more conducive, so I can run the signal link better and that kind of stuff. So that's a project for the summer. We will be doing that.
There you go. Good deal. Yeah, and I have the same situation here with this computer that I'm on is not on battery backup. So if we lose it, I'll probably try to find a way to bring it back up. I have a couple options. So I hadn't considered that before I started it, but radios are on batteries, but yeah.
Oh, well,
see how we do.
Yeah, it was one of those things that we've kept this one on battery backup, and this is my big main machine, and so it's on battery backup, and it runs 24/7. So
yeah,
along with the servers.
I'm going to also make you a host to this session there, Scott. If it
Oh, that's okay. Because most of mine's just going to be talking.
And if I do get kicked off, maybe it'll keep going that way.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. All right.
All right.
There you go. I hadn't thought about that one. Yeah, that's a good transfer.
We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
All right.
Well, we got 12.
Yeah. And we may have others pop in too.
So. Oh, yeah.
But I did hit the record button, so you're
okay. Yeah.
And I will mute myself just because I'll probably have a radio on in the background, and my daughter may come and ask me a question or two here. She's 7; she can't help herself.
Let me turn this down because it's kind of a distraction. Where is it? There we go. Now you're only, by the way, you're only seeing one half of the shack. I have very selectively left the other half off deliberately because it's a mess.
It's like that half of my room that you don't see.
There's papers strewn everywhere. It's like, no, it's not a pretty sight. Although that's where all the HF equipment is and all that. But so back behind me, you're looking at my HTs up on the rack and my laptop that operates portable as well. So if I need to, if the power does go out and the big machine goes down for whatever reason, I do have the laptop going, so it's going full time. But yeah, all the other stuff like my Connect Systems radios and the HF gear and all that, that's off to the other side. You don't get to see it.
Yeah. Well, for everyone that's in here, so we've got Scott Yonally, N8SY, with us. He's the Ohio section manager for the ARRL. I had a chance to get to know Scott a little bit, working together in the preparation for the convention that we couldn't have. But Scott was gracious enough to even make trips up here to be with us for some of that planning and whatnot, which was great. And I invited him to speak to all of us about what the ARRL is up to. So with that, Scott, the floor is yours there, my friend.
Okay, well, thank you. I do appreciate that. And I will state this right from the very beginning. I do want to thank all of you. What hasn't come out as an official notice yet, I was reelected for another 2-year term just last week. So I do thank you for that. I appreciate that. And hopefully we're running the section good enough that you guys feel comfortable with the way the section is running and all the things we're doing and into, because we're into so many different things now than 6 years ago when I took over. So it's been an amazing ride. And I say it that way because I have one of the best cabinets that anybody could ask for. These guys and gals, they bust their buns every day working for the Ohio section and working for ARRL, and mostly working for all of you. So if anyone deserves the pat on the back, it's them. They do the work, trust me. Okay, I'll start it off. This is a round of basic statistics about where we are, where ARRL is with the rest of the country, with the rest of the world, and where the Ohio section fits into all that. First off, I'm always asked the one question: how many licensed hams do we have in the country today? Well, I looked it up this afternoon, and as of last night at midnight, that's when the clock changes, the FCC has recorded 762,174 licensed hams in the country. Now, you noticed I prefaced that with licensed hams. That doesn't mean that's how many active hams. Obviously, we don't have that many active hams. I wish we did. That would be fantastic. We are growing at about a percent and a half rate a month. That is a very good rate to grow. That's the way you want it. Years ago, back in the early 90s, Japan came along and they grew very rapidly. In fact, they peaked out at 1.5 million amateur radio operators. And if you ask me today where those numbers are, they're less than 400,000. So the object of growing too fast and not having enough places for folks to go and things for them to do, they grow tired of it very quickly, allow their license to lapse and so on. So you want to grow at a slow but steady pace. So 1 to 1.5% is a very good pace to grow. And I think we're doing very well around the country in the things that we do. Now, the 5 biggest states for ham radio operators, and I think I'm going to throw you a little bit here. All right, California tops the list at 106,253. Coming in second is Texas with 53,252. Florida comes in third at 42,542. Washington comes in next at fourth with 34,389. Now here's the surprise for you. Ohio is fifth. We have 27,942. We're the 5th largest in the country. So please keep that in mind. Now, these 5 states that I mentioned that are just 5 out of the 50, they make up 35% of all the amateurs in the United States. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. Now, here, as far as ARRL is concerned, there's 157,530, which makes up about 20.6% of the amateurs in the country. About 20%, a little over 20%, are ARRL members. I'd obviously like to see that number much higher than that. But you know what? It is what it is at this point. But I'm hoping that with all the new advancements coming along with ARES Connect, with the On the Air magazine, with the availability, if you're an ARRL member now, to get QEX for free as well, and many other of the things that they're doing. I'm hoping that that does encourage you, if you aren't a member, to join ARRL. It's a great organization. Now I'm going to give you something that you probably don't know. You know, we all know about R&L Electronics. We all know about Yaesu, Fusion, as well as Yaesu company itself in Kenwood, and, you know, ICOM and a number of other corporations around the country that supply amateur radio operators with equipment and so on. But, you know, not one dime of what they make goes to the advancement of amateur radio, for the benefit of amateur radio. They are not giving anything back to amateur radio. Okay, they don't. There's only one organization in the whole country that does, and that's ARRL. They are your representation, not only here in Ohio, but your representation around the country. They are what represents you to Congress. They are what represents you to the Federal Communications Commission. Now, what actions are we doing? Even here locally, I'll give you one perfect example. I'm going to give you a little piece of news that none of you know about yet, but it will be happening here shortly. You all heard the governor about, well, it's been what, 3 months ago now, with his texting bill. And, you know, when he proposed that texting bill, it was already written, and the two senators, Ohio senators that wrote it, it didn't have any exclusion for amateur radio in it at all. I can report to you right now, it does. Our legal legislative action group here in Ohio has been very busy, even though it's been COVID-19 and so many things shut down. We've been very, very active and very busy. And with that, that texting bill came out of committee just yesterday. And with it there is an exclusion now. At this point, there is an exclusion for amateur radio. Now, I will temper this with the idea that you have to keep in mind that's out of committee. Now, we have to clear through the Senate, then it has to clear through the Ohio House. We feel that it will because most bills clear with the recommendations that give the recommendations from the committee. They usually clear without many hoops or hollers. So we feel that it's going to go through. But at this point, it's still a bill. It's still a proposal. It is not law yet. And we are not excluded yet. Even though, yes, I just told you we are. Until it becomes law, we are not excluded yet in this bill. So please have some patience. It's now got to work its way through the congressional actions, and it will. It's on a fast track because of some other bills that the governor is now pushing harder on. This one is being fast tracked to get it out of the way. So we expect it to go through in just a few months, if not sooner. So please have some patience. I think it's going to go our way. And yes, we are going to be excluded out of the texting bill, guys. So that's good news. Now I'm going to switch gears again. We'll go back to some of the numbers. You know, you hear about how many licensed hams we have and all that. I'm going to give you some numbers for what we have here in Ohio. Currently, we have let's see, we have 27,942 in Ohio, but we have 5,895 ARRL members here in Ohio. That's about 21%. So we're running a little bit higher than the national average. That's good. That's what I want it to do. In fact, I want it to be higher than that. I'd like to see it be at 50% or higher. Reality is we'd all love to see it at 100%, but I know that it won't be, but that's okay. I do want to see it higher than 21% though, and I feel we can do that. Now, where do those numbers actually break out? Well, you know, when I said we had 27,942, right now we still have 382 licensed novices. Yes, folks, we still have novices here in the state of Ohio. So as Rob, as you were talking about field day and the activities, please don't forget that the novices cannot operate much more than on 10 meters on HF. Yes, they have a lot of CW, so please take advantage of that. You CW operators like me, that's where I'm going to be spending a lot of my time, is down in the novice section and where the techs also will hang out in the 10-meter band. Why? Because they are the ones getting kind of left out, if you will. Even though the rules got modified, if they can't have a control operator with a higher grade license sitting beside them, they have to operate at their license grade. So it comes to pass that you want to make sure that you operate down in the novice bands for a little bit. In the same way for the technicians. Now, how many technicians do we have? We have 12,947 technicians at this point. That's not unusual. That's our entry level today. That's where you would expect the numbers to be high. The general class, we have 7,083. Now, the other, what I call pure license, and why do I call it a pure license? The advanced and the novice are still today exactly as they were the day the FCC wrote them out of everything. They still had to have code requirement. They still had to have the same requirements as a novice 20 years ago, as an advanced class 20 years ago. So they have not changed. They still have the Morse code requirement on their license. No other license class anymore has that, except those two. Now in advanced class, we have 1,477 left. That number is dwindling. When I did this report around the 1st of March, we were at 1,500 still left. And now we're down to 1,477. In a way, it's kind of sad because you hate to see, there's going to be a day where there won't be any left. And of course, there won't be any new coming along, so that'll be the end of it. But in a way, it's kind of a glad thing, because where are they going? Well, they're, believe it or not, going to the fastest growing of the license classes, which is the extra class. And it's growing at about 1% a month. We currently, right now, have 6,053 licensed extras, which is great. That's a good number. And I'd like to see that keep growing. So please, if you're not there, keep working toward it. You'll get there. And again, like I said, we have 5,895 ARRL members, which is about 21%. Now, Ohio is the largest section in the country. Yes, you heard me say that there was 106,000 in California, but California is divided in 5 different sections. Ohio is one section all by itself, and it still maintains it is the largest of all of the 71 sections in the country. Now, why 71? Just like I said, because California has 5, Texas has 3, Pennsylvania has 2, New York has 3. So you see, a lot of states are broken up. They're not an individual state. So they've broken that state up into several sections. So now you have 71. And most people forget about the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Those are American possessions, and they belong to the United States, just the same as any state in the United States. They are a state, so to speak. They are possessions or U.S. territories. So they are counted in this number as well. And like I said, we are the largest. Now, how large are we? We are actually larger than 2 divisions. A division is made up of multiple sections. Okay, it can be as few as 3, it can be as many as 5. There are 15 divisions in the country, and we are bigger than 2 of those divisions. We're bigger than the Dakota, and we're bigger than Hudson. We only need 668 more people, ARRL members, to become bigger than the Midwest division as well. Now, guys, I'm really kind of pushing toward that number. And every presentation I do like this, and I say that, I will tell you, the next presentation, that number actually drops. We are getting closer and closer and closer every time I do this presentation. So please, if you're not a member, become one. If you are a member, make sure you renew. If you're a life member, congratulations. So am I. I'm a life member of ARRL. And that's a thing to be honored to. Affiliated clubs in Ohio and affiliated clubs nationwide. We have 118. And Rob, I apologize. I think TMRA is an affiliated club, correct?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, we're what you consider a special service club. So,
Yeah, we'll get into that in just
yep.
a second. But there's 118 here in Ohio. Nationwide, there's 2,503. So we fare about 4.5%. And not too bad. I would like to see it a little higher. We have over 300 clubs that I am aware of in the state of Ohio. So I'd like to see a lot of the clubs that are not affiliated yet become affiliated. Now, you mentioned the special services. Yes, we have 49 special service clubs here in Ohio. Now of 118, yeah, that's a good chunk. But let me tell you, in the country, there's only 151. We own 32% of all the special services clubs in the country, right here in Ohio. Now, that's a good thing, but I will preface this with that's also expected. Why do I say expected? Special Services Clubs was born here in Ohio. A long time ago, back in the 1990s and 80s, actually back in the 1980s, we had an affiliated clubs coordinator. Her name was Joanne Solak, KJ30. And she was our affiliated clubs coordinator for Ohio for many, many years. In fact, she retired and then came back and did another stint as our affiliated clubs coordinator for a short period of time as well. So she created something that she wanted. She felt that some clubs were going the extra mile, doing the extra things above and beyond, and she wanted those clubs to be recognized. So she actually created what is now known as the Special Services Clubs. Now, what makes this so great is the ARRL saw that, picked up on it, and decided to make it a national thing. So they took all of her rules and all of her ideas, and they put them together and formulated them into what you have today for the Special Services Clubs. So it was born here in Ohio, so we should own all the majority of them, if you want to put it that way. And we do. We own, like I said, 32% of all of the affiliated special services clubs are right here in Ohio. And that's the way it should be. Thank all of you for that, by the way. That takes a lot of work to not only get, but it takes a lot of work to keep as well. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit. Let's go to one of the newest programs here in Ohio, as well as around the country, and that's ARRL Connect. First thing I want to say about ARRL Connect, it ain't just for ARRL. It's for everyone. Okay, that may shock a lot of people because they're saying, well, it has ARRL in its name. That's true, it does. But we want to have everybody recorded in ARRL Connect because it is an event-based program. What does that mean by an event-based program? Well, simply put, we record the events. We record the people who attend the events. So now we have proof positive when we go to Congress with those hours and we say, look how many hours we volunteered. We can actually put a name to it. Well, you know, Congress folks, they get all excited and bent out of shape about hours and that kind of stuff as a general rule. But what really impresses them most is when you can put a name to all of that, and a name especially that they can recognize. They say, hey, wait a minute, this guy is, I know that guy. So can I call him? Well, yeah, you can call him. Ask him if he did that event. And that impresses them. And I will tell you, we've already used that data in the texting bill I talked about earlier. Now, currently, nationwide, there are 14,237 in the database. And we're a long ways from being where we need to be. Remember, I said there was over 700,000 licensed amateurs, so we only have 14,000 in the database at this point. Now, Ohio has 1,411, or about 10%, and I'm glad for that. Now, for you folks that didn't know, Ohio was actually the first section in the country launched. I was not the first person in the system. Our section emergency coordinator, Stan, he was actually the first person recorded in the entire system. That was done deliberately. he, he was our guinea pig for quite a while. Then I turned over and I became the guinea pig for now, for a lot of the actions that are going on. So at current levels, we currently have 3 levels that were set and designed by ARRL headquarters for ARES. And the level 1 is the entry level, where you don't have the 4 basic NIMS courses yet completed. Either you haven't done them, you won't do them, or you just haven't completed them yet. And that's okay. Even if you don't want to do them, that's fine. We have a place for you. There are things that we can set you down to do that don't require it, and that's okay. So we do have a place. Currently, we have 753 people sitting at a level 1. Level 2, which means you have the 4 basic NIMS courses in, and that's, we have 489 folks at level 2. And at level 3, we have 169. What is a level 3? Well, level 3 is a person who went above and beyond. They now have the professional series under a belt. The professional series is taking either the 300, 400 classes, and they are in-class classes, they're ICS, or in-class, or they have taken the 7 basic online professional series classes. And those you can do online at your own time, but they are the professional series. So we do have 169 of those folks. Here in Ohio, we encourage the folks to take the 300, 400 whenever they can. We have, I run in the weekly newsletter a lot of 300, 400 classes that are coming up that need extra folks sitting in, so they have enough people in the class to run the class. And we are a great fill-in for that. It helps us, it helps them along the way. So it's been working out quite well. But if you just can't get into those classes because you work through the week or whatever, because most of the classes are done through the week, but if you can't get into those classes, we do have the online professional series. Now, the 7 classes that you take, there is an 8th class that I encourage you to take. It is the final one. It's IS 235. And after you complete that course, you get a really nice certificate that you've completed all of the professional series from the NIMS program. So it works out really well. And it's a great activity for you guys to do. So that's where we stand. I do have a little bit of a story for you. I talk with and am a part of all of the section managers throughout the country. And I am working as a technical advisor to ARRL headquarters for ARES Connect. So I talk to a lot of the section managers around the country in how to get it set up, how to get it running, what to do, how to maintain it, and so on. And the other day, I was talking to the gal from Los Angeles County. Now, here is kind of a unique situation from Los Angeles County. Their county has 11.5 million people in it. The state of Ohio has 11.7. So we're very equal in size. I'm going to disappear on you, I think, here in a couple of minutes. The power just died, just to give you some idea. I don't know how long the cable will last, but we'll go for as long as we can. Anyway, I'll run through this real quick. May report, I just put it out today. We had 1,356 events completed with 4,628 users. We had a grand total of 5,949.72 hours volunteered, which gives us a grand total for dollars for this last month in volunteerism given back at $151,304.37 was given back in volunteer time for just May alone. To date, for this year, we have given back $862,759.29 in volunteer time. The incident command structure stats. In the Ohio section database, we have 1,778 total members in it. We have 9,408 certificates on file. For the handbook giveaway, I'm going to run through this because I don't know how long my power is going to last. We are about 2,500 entries each month. Mike Berg, N8QQN from Wadsworth, won the book on May. Please, if you haven't registered for the handbook, make sure you sign up when it's available. The big red arrow will be on the website. Go to the website. The reason why I created that is because people didn't know where the Ohio section website was. So this gave them an opportunity to find it. And there's over 25,000 pages of information on the section website. So please take advantage of that. Or I'm sorry, 2,500, not 25,000, 2,500 pages on the website. To date, just this year, we've had 1.7 million pages on that website viewed, with over 4 million hits. Right now on Google Analysis, from the desk, we get 78% of the folks viewing it from their desktop, 16% viewing it from mobile devices, such as your cell phone and that type of stuff, and 4% off of tablets. Okay, like I said, I ran through that pretty quick. Anybody got any questions? Now's the time to ask.
Questions in while you can.
Hang on here just a minute, 'cause I'm not getting anything. So let me do this just to make sure. Okay, go ahead.
I didn't hear any questions on our end, but does anyone have any? We're all shy.
Wow. Folks, if you want to hit the space bar, that unmutes you.
Yeah, it's a reminder, everyone comes into the meeting muted, so you'll have to unmute yourself in either the bottom left corner or hit the space bar if you want to ask a question.
Do we have the numbers on the professional course?
As far as broke out on professional, I can get those for you. I don't have them here on my listing. Yes, in fact, you can look them up yourself, actually. On the website, we actually have who has what NIMS courses in. If you go to the ARRL section, and then if you scroll on down onto the right side, you can pull up the latest data. That does change quite regularly. As Jim gets updates, that's updated. So he sends me an update. So you could pull that information down, or you can just write Jim and ask him how many have the 300, 400 versus how many have the professional series.
Okay, thank you.
One question, I guess, Scott, I'll throw in there. You and I talked a little bit before the meeting about just the current status of clubs meeting and generally, you know, what others are doing for field day and whatnot. But you may just talk about that briefly. And then also, is anyone else starting to offer test sessions yet? I know Steve, who was just talking, is our head of our volunteer examiners and gives our tests. I know we're doing one at a park here coming up on the 13th. Is anyone else taking that and doing something similar, or are they starting doing anything remotely? And has the VEC provided any direction in that area
Okay,
yet?
first off, yes, the VEC does have. They have guidelines to use remote testing if you want to do that. And to answer your other part of that question is yes, actually Silver Creek up near the Wadsworth area is last weekend did 32 people. So they had quite a test. So so yes, VE testing is opening up. There are special guidelines if you're going to do remote testing, you do need to let headquarters know. They will send you the whole packet, the whole thing that you need to do. It's not complicated, it's pretty easy, but they just want the guidelines followed. There is a special way to handle how to get the CSCE in and get it all signed and all that and get it to the participant and so on. So those guidelines will help you out on that. As far as meetings, yes, there are some clubs that are starting to meet. I know the Mound Amateur Radio Club down in the Dayton area. They actually are at the Snake Mounds. They call them the Snake Mounds. They're actually the Indian Snake Mounds down in the Dayton area. They're meeting now. They're meeting right there at the park, the Mound Park, and so they're busy. I know there are several other clubs looking to start in and actually have meetings, so that's happening. As far as Hamfests, yes, there was one up near you guys in the Fulton County area just last week. The next one coming up will be Van Wert, which won't be too far from you guys. So it'll be coming up July 19th. Hope I got the date right, but I'm pretty sure I do. July 19th will be the next one, and then should start opening up after that.
Yeah, good. Okay, good. Anyone else have any questions for Scott before his UPS gives up? We hear it beeping.
Yes,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The clubs that are doing the remote testing, are they doing with a proctor, or are they trying to handle it where the test taker is all by themselves?
Well, we've had it two ways. We've had it with a proctor, and we've had it with a Zoom and several video cameras monitoring them front and back.
Okay.
So they've been doing both.
All right. Because it seems to me that'd be a lot less technical issues if you had a proctor there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We've also had groups where they've met in a park at a picnic table, which you can do if it's dry. If it's like today, I'm not so sure. But, you know, because I can hear the thunder rolling out here right now. If it's dry and that kind of thing, you can meet at a picnic table. You can separate yourself many feet away, more than 6, I would imagine, and grade the papers and so on. I do know that Silver Creek, they were in a big building on a fairgrounds in Wadsworth, and they actually had tables set up about 30 feet apart from each other. So that's how they managed to roll in that many people. And they did use sanitizer, and they cleaned everything as everybody entered and everybody left. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is KD8WCB. From what I hear, Fulton County is going to have a testing this coming weekend. And they have, I believe, scheduled 12 people.
Okay.
And they're going to be doing it at a park. Everybody's stretched out all over the place. So,
yep.
Yeah, testing is starting to come back.
Yep, it sure is. And like I say, if you have like a park you can go to or a very large building, you can spread them out far enough and be safe enough. So it does work. But you can also use Zoom, and like I say, just have a camera mounted front and back and that kind of thing, and they do have regulations on what they want to see and that type of thing. But for the most part, it does work.
Scott, one of the things I know that the ARRL started doing recently is something that we've been doing for a few years ourselves, which is focus some activities and presentations on brand new hams and how to get up to speed, and trying to give them a head start on the hobby. So yeah. we called it the same thing ARRL does, actually, the What Now, class. So and I have a radio license.
Yeah.
What Now.
And I'm really, I have been advertising the crap out of that for you guys, because that is a great program. I really appreciate you guys doing that.
We got a lot of really good feedback from it. We do it right after our test sessions typically. And of course, this last one didn't happen in the spring due to COVID. But what have you heard about the current ARRL's current program, and can you tell everyone a little bit about it so maybe they can look it up? Or
Well, as far as what they are redesigning it right now, and the Public Service Working Group, PSWG, is working on a number of different things. I am on part of the committee. We will be meeting tomorrow night. They're going to use many different people from around the country to show the various aspects. They're kind of the talking experts, if you will. My expertise is obviously ARES Connect. So I'll show them how to get registered, that type of thing, and so on. So it's, you know, it's one of those things where that is going to be happening here soon. I will also tell you that the section managers themselves are starting to work toward that end as well. That way they have a presentation out there to help folks along as well.
great, thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any questions for Scott? We'll probably think of everything after your
Not a problem. And you can always call me or write me. So that's not a problem.
Very good. All right. Well, Scott, we'll let you go, and I know you're a busy man, so
Oh, that's okay.
thanks.
I'm just sitting in the dark now. I don't have a whole lot to do.
Your UPS is working good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this one's got a good sized UPS on it. There's like 4 different UPSs in the room. They run various pieces of equipment in here, and as you can hear, a couple of them are going nuts, and the main one here is just holding strong. So not a big thing.
You know, it's funny. We always say try to learn from other people. So I just learned that I probably ought to put a UPS on this computer.
Now you guys see the importance of having backups.
You know, I focused on the radios, right? Well, I got a laptop.
Yeah. But see how important the computer can be.
Thanks so much for your help and and everything you do. And thanks for the update. And unless anyone else has any questions, we'll let you get about the rest of your day and try to figure out what to do in the dark there.
Well, the next thing we'll be doing, I usually give it about an hour, and then we break out the generator at that point.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
So
Then you know could be a while. So
yeah.
all right. Well, good luck there, Scott.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Anyone else? Any last minute questions for Scott? All right. We'll get close things up then, and I will start.
Rob, don't
Yeah.
forget to transfer your host from me to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Because you don't want to lose your recording.
I think it just added you as a host. I think it's you and
Okay.
me, isn't it? I think.
Well, if you just put me as a co-host, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll find out. Anyway, so it should. I think it should let me set the recording, which I put on this PC. So.
Okay.
All right. Good. Thank you, Scott.
Okay. You take care.
Thanks for everybody for joining us. Follow the other, join in the other session, I guess, and we'll kick up one along with our net here for our general meeting. It looks like the repeaters actually cleared up. So. Thanks all.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks, Scott.